Hi guys, and welcome to this week's episode of the Punters podcast. We are joined. I am joined by the same two as we were as last week. So, all right, Ben, how you doing?
How's it going, guys?
Good. And for you, Tom, you're right.
Yeah, all good, thank you.
Good stuff. Right. Okay. Right then. This week on the podcast, we will be reviewing last night's crazy Wigan against Manchester City game, Rochdale against Spurs, and Huddersfield against United. Which I'm sure will bring us quite nicely into a little bit of a discussion about the VAR, which is something that seems to crop up every week at the moment after the FA Cup games. We'll then look ahead to this weekend's Premier League action. Premier League is back. We'll start with Leicester Stoke, the early kickoff on Saturday lunchtime. Watford Everton, the evening kickoff on the Saturday. United Chelsea on Sunday. And also we will look ahead to the League Cup final at Wembley between Arsenal and City, which kicks off at 4:30. We will then go through our predictions for this weekend's games. Before we will also look at any time goal scorer treble, and then we will run through our bets of the week to finish. So without further ado, we'll go straight into it, and we will start with last night's game, full of controversy. 60-1 Wigan were to win 1-0, and I think I've seen about 125-1 for Will Grigg to score first and a 1-0 Wigan win. Tom, what did you make of the game?
Well, it was a very interesting game. It was purely defensive from Wigan. They managed to get them on the break, and it was a great finish by Grigg. But yeah, they were defending. Even when City had 10 men, they were pinning them back, and they were putting all sorts of pressure on. Loads of corners for City. But fair play to Wigan. Dan Burn, who used to play for Darlington, centre-half, he was phenomenal for them, I thought. And Perkins in midfield, full of energy. The left-back, Callum Elder, he's came in and done really well. So, yeah, massive credit to them. I don't think anyone really saw that coming. But, yeah, no more quadruple left for Man City.
Absolutely no more quadruple. And I did see something about Will Grigg putting out the fire on City's quadruple. And I know, Ben, you were very, before last week, I think we mentioned, you were sort of on the Will Grigg trail, and the chance, it seemed to come back yesterday. But what did you make of the game, first and foremost?
Really impressed with Wigan. I mean, they've been keeping clean sheets all season, including 2 in the Cup against Premier League opposition in Bournemouth and West Ham. But very rarely do City fail to score. But I thought Wigan looked very organised. They limited the space, defending deep. People have seen Bristol trying to press City, but Wigan have shown how, obviously City could have scored a few chances. I thought Fernandinho should have put that chance away after Stones' header, but to be honest, that's one of very few clear-cut chances I can kind of think for City. So I thought, very respectable for Wigan, keeping it tight and defending very organised.
Tom, I don't think we can actually underestimate this performance, considering that City team was full of starters. I mean, it was people say it's a little bit weak, and okay, De Bruyne didn't start, but apart from that, it was a pretty full strength Man City, and obviously the Fabian Delph red card was a big talking point right at the end of the first half. What did you make of the sending off first?
Yeah, I do think it was a sending off. They're the tackles that have been going on Man City players for months now. So I don't think Guardiola can complain. It's a bit hypocritical what he was saying after that. But yeah, it looked like a red to me. Having said that, I do think Wigan could have had a red card with Callum Elder, who got booked in the second half, and he made a few dodgy challenges after that. I think they got away with one there. But red card, but still, Man City still should be winning that, even with 10 men. And as you say, that squad that they put out was so strong. And I bet that they got hammered in, the price got hammered in as soon as the team lineups were confirmed. And so even more credit to Wigan for that. They weren't playing a second-string Man City team that a lot of teams have done in the Cup. They were playing a full strength, and they were still going for it. So, massive credit to Wigan.
Yep, I was looking at the market during the game. I think with 20 minutes to go, 14-1 Wigan were to win the game. I knew I should have put a fire on it, but I didn't. Ben, on the red cards, would you agree with Tom?
Personally, I think it's definitely a yellow. I think it's a bit loose, a bit out of control, but I think he's kind of got to go for it. So I don't think it's a red. I know there's 1 foot high up in the air, but the other's on the ground. So there is some control there. And like I say, I think he's got to go for that ball, or the other player gets it at speed and goes past him. So I think the challenge has got to be made. I don't think it's completely reckless. I don't think there's studs showing. There's a foot high, but yeah, I think he's got to make it. But yeah, definitely yellow, but not a red for me.
Cool, very interesting. I'm pretty sure we could spend quite a long time debating that one anyway. So we will move on to one of the other games, one of the surprises of the week. Rochdale against Spurs, 2-2, 32-1. I think that was correct score, 2-2. Tom, obviously, I think last week you and Ben sort of went against each other in terms of the betting way to go. When the pitch was relayed and they had, what looked like quite a nice pitch to play on. You would have fancied Spurs before kickoff.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, I wasn't aware that it got relayed, so that's my fault for that one. But still, Rochdale made it hard for them, which I thought that they would do. They were quite physical. They put some hefty challenges in the second half, made it hard for Spurs. So yeah, great result for them. And to be honest, really, a draw could be seen as better than a win for Rochdale there, because it means that they can take it to Wembley, all that gate receipt that they'll get, half of that. It's so big for teams down in League One and League Two, and especially a team like Rochdale who get, 3,000-4,000 max for a League One game. They've got a small stadium, and Keith Hill, that's going to be massive for him, because that's going to keep them going for a good while now. And yeah, I'm so pleased for them, because Keith Hill's done a great job there. I know they're struggling in League One, but I mean, they've got one of the lowest budgets, if not the lowest in the league. So they're still holding their own. And yeah, fantastic for them.
Ben, I think when it's a case that's similar to last night, really. Spurs' starting 11, the 11 that finished the game certainly was quite a strong one from Poch. When Harry Kane scored the penalty at 2-1, it looked like it was all over. But what did you make of that Spurs performance?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think the team that finished the game is a very strong side. I was surprised at how weak they started the game, and I think you've got to look at. I think they took the game a bit too lightly there, and he's made these. I think Pochettino's made these changes because he's wanted to win the game, and I think for Spurs now to have a replay, I think it's very poor, because it's just another game to play, and if they do want to continue this competition, they're gonna have to now play their big players. I'd have started Kane and the bigger players from the start, got a comfortable lead, and then sat back, and I don't think Rochdale could have done much about it. But saying that, they brought the players on and they were 2-1 up, and then I think they've just fell asleep towards the end, thinking it's won. And Rochdale have been up for the occasion and snatched a point. Well, a replay.
Yeah, certainly very sloppy defending for that second Rochdale goal. Moving on then to a controversial in different sense. Huddersfield against United. Now, Tom, I watched this game with my United mate, and we sat there, watched United go up after 3 minutes, kind of thinking that was probably tie over. But Huddersfield went on to completely dominate that first half, especially. I think they had something like 74% after 25 minutes. It was a slightly stranger game.
Yeah, it was very odd, really, because we all know how pragmatic Mourinho is and how much he'll just rest on a lead. But doing that against Huddersfield, it's a bit too far, really. I did think they were a big price, actually, Huddersfield, in that one. I think they went off around 13-2. And after they just won 2 games and scored 4 goals in 3 games, and they are a team to be reckoned with. But yeah, it would made all the headlines for VAR, of course, and how much of a joke it is, really.
Okay, well, Ben, I will bring you in on that. What did you make of that decision for the goal that wasn't a goal in the end, right at the end of that first half?
Well, in my opinion, if it's winding Mourinho up as it is, then I say keep on using the squiggly
Oh,
lines.
absolutely. I agree.
Because Doncaster Rovers are nowhere near the Premier League, so carry on using it for another couple of years until we get there.
All right, okay. Now,
But
serious answer?
like, yeah, serious. It was the correct call, and the saying that the people who were in charge of the decision didn't see those lines. That was just a technical error, and because it is the correct call, then I'm all for it.
Yep, I would agree with that. Actually, I think whatever happened with the squiggly line, as it's been called, the correct decision, in my opinion, was made. Therefore, I don't know why everyone was kicking off so massively. Tom, it sounds like you disagree slightly.
Yeah, well, it's just I think VAR is just going to cause more fuss than it's worth. Really, it's one of them things that, to be fair, if they persevere with it and it's still in place in 2-3 years' time, people won't be talking about it. But yeah, it's getting so many column inches, and it's quite mundane, really, and it kind of ruins the spectacle. The amount of added time that's going to have to be added on for all these decisions is a bit too much, really. And really, what VAR is for the big decisions that they get wrong, and it's going to be overused way too much. Referees would keep going over to the screens and having a look at decisions that are, in the end, are kind of pointless, and it just wastes time. So yeah, if it gets used properly for like really bad decisions, then I'm for it. But it seems like it's getting a bit overused.
Okay, so what I would say is when it's such a tight decision and it's just led to a goal, so therefore it's a big decision. It's 1-0 going into half time at 1-0. Huddersfield are still in it 2-0. They wouldn't have been in it. So when it is such a tight decision, that's surely when VAR is used, is it not?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the right point, but it's just in particular for this game. It's in other games that I've seen where it's just been used for just bad, challenges that are obviously a yellow card, for instance, and I'll go over and check if it's a yellow or red. I mean, for them tight calls on offsides and stuff like that, I understand how big it is in the Premier League of all leagues. Each goal can be worth so much money, and each point is worth so much money. So the reason they've brought it in is it's just to satisfy everyone who's gonna be annoyed with each little decision, because the margins are so fine in the Premier League and the money's so big in it. So yeah, it just shows how important football is now.
Hmm. And for you, Ben, so just in general, are you a fan of VAR?
Yeah. I think as it's if it is making decisions, well, keeping the correct decisions, then I'm all for it. I do agree with Tom. I think there's got to be a kind of sense of kind of common sense included where with the ref, because I've seen sometimes players will go off celebrating and just because have got the option to use it, they don't have to use it, but they are, and it's kind of like all the focus is now done on the referee rather than the goal just scored. And yeah, to a certain, it's got to be kind of limited to the tight decisions, as we say. But so far, I've been impressed with it.
Yeah, I think general consensus from us is that if it gets the right decisions, then we're all for it. But it's going to take a little while to perfect everything that goes with it. So time, referee choosing which decisions he's going to refer to, and so on. But anyway, another one which we could talk about for a long time, but we will move on to this weekend's Premier League games. And we will go. The first game we're going to look at is Leicester against Stoke. So I'll come to you first, Tom. The early kickoff. It's always one that I normally say goes against form. But do you see Stoke getting anything here against the Leicester side, who are pushing up the table now?
Not really, no. I just look at the difference in quality of the two squads, and Leicester's team, it is a top 8 team when you look through it, strong in all positions. So yeah, I do think they'll win this one. I won't be surprised if Stoke got on the score sheet. They do have a good both teams to score record. Actually, Stoke, I was quite surprised. It's gone a bit down on that since Lambert's come in, but they'll be going there for a point, in my opinion. It's just whether they get it or not. So yeah, I want to be with Leicester here. But they're 8-11, I think, best price. It's not massive. I was expecting them to be more 19-20 range, but yeah, it's probably just about backable at the price. But I'm looking at a 3-1 shot in this one, and it's a player that they signed in January from Rubin Kazan, Stoke. Patrick Bauer is a fullback. Got him on a cheap from Kazan, who have financial problems at the minute. And I watched his debut against Manchester United, and he was, very aggressive. He was going in for everything. It looked like he wanted to be involved a lot. And he'll be coming up against Amari Gray, probably here, who's a really tricky, fast player. And Bauer's 3-1 to be carded in this one with Unibet. I think that's a nice angle. If he does start, it's one that I'd want to be focusing on, really.
And for you, Ben, do you agree? Are Stoke going to get anything here, or is it going to be another win for Leicester?
They've definitely picked up under Paul Lambert, but I agree. I think Leicester's squad probably will get the better of them. My bet for this one, though, is bit safer. Is the both teams to score, which I found at 4-5. I think Leicester are very dangerous going forward. But like as Tom said, Stoke can pose a threat going forward, and I think with the way that Leicester have been playing under the new manager, that the possession football that they do play, I think if it's not implemented properly, then I think you can lose possession in quite deep positions, and I think that can pose a threat against your defence. And I think they have been leaking goals that way. So the bet I've gone for is both teams to score.
Just adding on to that, the punters page, if you go onto the website, you will be able to find all the statistics you need when it comes to the English leagues and all the big European ones in terms of both teams to score over 2.5 stats. And I'm pretty sure that Leicester and Stoke are both very near the top of that in terms of percentage-wise. So both teams to score certainly looks like could be the way to go for that one. Another game involving two sides score goals and games. Watford against Everton. Tom, this looks like quite a difficult one to call, but maybe Watford at home.
It is a tough one, but I'm just looking at the two managers in this and what they've been like in the past. Javi Gracia, who's been Watford manager now for about a month. When he was at Malaga, he had his team organised, disciplined, defensive, and they'd usually be bankers for the under 2.5 on the coupon. And it's exactly the same with Sam Allardyce. I can just repeat exactly what I said about Gracia for him. So I'm actually looking at opposing goals here. Under 2.5 can be back to it's an odd price with Marathon, 87-100. It's basically nearly 9-10, a shade of odds on. I think this could be a low scoring one. It's going to be tight. I think they'll both revert to type. A draw wouldn't be a bad result for both teams. So I'd even be looking at the 0-0 here. I think it's around the 7-1 mark, or no goal scorer. I think it could be a bit of a dour game, this one.
You agreeing with that, Ben?
No, I'm going the other way, to be honest. I think with the games I've seen Watford, Richarlison's been a threat in pretty much every game I've seen all season. And Deulofeu, especially against Chelsea, I thought he showed real quality. And I think Watford, what they pose the most is an attacking threat, whereas I think if Watford actually tighten their defence up, I think they'd be a lot higher than where they were towards the start of the season when they weren't conceding so many goals. And I think that's been their problem, why they've been dropping down from conceding goals. So again, I've gone for the both teams to score. I think Everton will probably try and keep it tight, but I think, like I say, Watford's strengths are in the attack, and I think they might break them down. But I think Everton do pose a bit of pace now. Allardyce has come in, and I think they might get maybe 1 or 2 on the counter. So yeah, both teams to score at 5-6.
Yep, I think I've gone along those lines of goals, especially in that Watford Chelsea game. Very impressed, and Everton do pose some threat on the counter. Moving on then to United against Chelsea, the big one. Tom, when I thought about this game, I thought Mourinho against one of his old clubs at home. There's no way he's going to lose.
Yeah, I actually thought exactly the same. But it's not to say that he wouldn't mind taking a point. So that's where I'm looking here. The draw, 12-5, best price. Yeah, Mourinho in these big games. Whenever I see a Mourinho team, I just want to oppose goals in these big games. It doesn't matter who they're playing against. We all know what he's about. He's going to shut up shop, even if it's at home. He's going to try and nick it 1-0. So, yeah, I'm going draw here, 12-5. I think it'll be a tight one. I think Chelsea will probably take a draw too. Obviously, both these teams in action this midweek. So, Man United, obviously, over in Seville, they've got to travel down to the south of Spain, and that's on Wednesday night. So, they'll be probably a bit more lethargic in this one. So, I think a point will do Man United pretty well. I think they're too short at even money. I won't be touching that. I don't get why they're that price. I think the value would be with Chelsea if you're wanting to back a team. But yeah, draw 12-5 for me and under 2.5 goals. I can't believe it's been priced up at 17-20 in this one with black type. I think that's very generous. Again, I could see another 0-0 or a 1-1 in this one. So draw under 2.5 are the two angles that I'm going to take there.
Yep, I'd go along with that. Ben, you agreeing with that?
Totally agree. Boring Mourinho. I think this will
Yes.
probably be probably one of the most boring games of the weekend. I think. Me too. I've gone under 2.5 at 4-6. I can't really call this one because I do believe that Giroud and Sanchez are the players that these two teams have been looking for to maybe complement other players they've got in the team. So I wouldn't like to choose which one's going to hit the ground running first. So yeah, I'm going to stick with under 2.5 at 4-6. I do think it'll be very cagey to start with. If we go on past form with Mourinho's games, and both teams do possess two strong defences. I think it'll be very cagey first half. So I do like for the price, half time, full time. I've gone draw and then away win with Chelsea at 7-1. Purely because I think Hazard at the minute is on par with anyone, and nearly in the Watford game, I thought he nearly dug Chelsea out of a hole there, and he's capable of that. And I'm not too convinced with United's attack at the minute. So I think if there's going to be a game changer in this one, I think it's going to be Hazard.
Yeah, well, one thing I will say is it's very nice to hear someone with the same feelings about Mourinho as me. So thanks for that. But Ben, do you not think Chelsea playing against Barcelona probably going to do a lot of running around, a lot of defending tonight? Is going to play any part in that?
Yeah, definitely. Like it's mentally draining when you play a team like that because you've got to be focused for 90 minutes. You're not going to see much of the ball, so it's kind of more mentally rather than technically draining. But yeah, like I said, I think they might benefit from maybe United not firing on all cylinders at the minute. And I think it'd be a low scoring game. I can't decide on it. I think under 2.5 is probably the safest bet. But for the money, I would go with Chelsea.
Yep. Well, we'll have to see. Okay, we'll move on then to the League Cup final this weekend at Wembley. Arsenal against City. Tom, Arsenal's record in finals is actually very good at the moment. I think they've won 3 out of the last 4 FA Cups. They did beat Chelsea in the Community Shield at the start of the season. They seem to like playing at Wembley at the moment. Do you fancy them against City?
I think this is such a hard one to call. A lot of people will be going with City here, but as you say, I've liked Arsenal at Wembley. They've done well in League Cups and the FA Cups gone by. Obviously, they beat Chelsea last year in the FA Cup, I think it was. Performed really well. So the pitch suits them. It should be a cracker, this one. I mean, these are the two teams that I would want in a final if you're wanting to watch it. So I'm looking at both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. I think it's still a bit short. I think it's 8-11 going off at the minute. So, yeah, I'd want to be backing goals here. I think it's going to be action-packed. Unfortunately, Sky Bet haven't priced up their requester bets for this yet, but there's one that's always on there, which I'm a big fan of, which is both teams to score, both teams to get 4 corners each, and both teams to pick up 20 booking points each in 90 minutes. I'm guessing that it'll be priced around 4-1. It covers all angles, really, for an entertaining game. I think it will be a bit feisty. There'll be some challenges going in. Both like to rack up corners, so I'll be on that as soon as it comes available. But obviously, there's not a price available at the minute, so I wouldn't want to back Man City at 8-13 best price, just because it's a bit too short given Arsenal's record in these cup competitions. But then again, I don't really want to back Arsenal. I just want to back goals in a good game in this one. So, yeah, both teams score over 2.5 goals would be the main bet. And then I'd look at that aforementioned requester bet with Sky Bet as soon as it get priced up, probably on Thursday.
Tommy there?
Yep.
Sorry, just cut off. Just cut off a little bit towards the end. Just want to repeat that last little bit, and they can edit this bit out.
Yeah, sorry. So both teams to score over 2.5 goals will be the main bet, 8-11, and then that requester bet, both teams score 4 corners each, 20 booking points each. I'll be getting on that later in the week once the price becomes available.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that one. Ben, for you?
I'm not so sure. I'm not watching Arsenal against Tottenham. I wasn't too convinced with them going forward. I think if Mkhitaryan was probably in a bit more better form, then he might have caused a bit more trouble. But in this one, I can't see him playing in that deep left position. I can't see him getting much success on the counter against Walker. Neither can I see Wilshere getting much success against Fernandinho in the middle. I think the key man for Arsenal here is probably Ozil on the right against whoever plays either Delph or Danilo on the left fullback. I think he'll probably be the one to cause danger and maybe get a bit of space to play the ball through to Aubameyang up top. But I think he just might be a bit too little for Arsenal, and the one I've gone for is City clean sheet at 7-4. We know how much possession City will hold, and I just don't think Arsenal will get that much of a sniff in this one.
Yep, I think it's important to mention actually that Arsenal obviously in the Europa League at the moment, so they did play last Thursday. City did play on Monday night in what looked to be a very physical game, and looked to be like lots of things were kicking off there. Against an Arsenal will be able to rest players on Thursday, so some of that Arsenal team will have had quite a fair bit of rest. And I've actually gone with Arsenal to win this one, and both teams to score, and that's best price at 79-10. That's what I've gone for on that one. Okay, then we'll run through our predictions now for all 9 games in the Premier League and also for that League Cup final. So Tom, we'll start with you for the Leicester against Stoke.
I've gone 2-1 for Leicester in this one. I think they'll just have a bit too much. But as Ben mentioned earlier, I do think both teams will score. But yeah, Leicester should have a bit too much quality for them.
For you, Ben?
Yeah, spot on. 2-1 Leicester. Like I say, good going forward, but I think the pro and the way they play, I think they're prone to concede against the Stoke side that I've picked up a little bit.
Yep, clean sweep. I've also gone with a 2-1 win. Agreeing with the boys there. Moving on now to some of the 3 o'clocks. Bournemouth against Newcastle. Newcastle obviously on the back of that 1-0 victory over United. Tom, do you see them picking up another 3 points?
No, I don't. I think this could be a stalemate. I do think both teams will score in it. So I've gone for 1-1 in this one. It's kind of a clash of styles. Bournemouth love goals. They go attacking. Newcastle with Benitez, the defensive. So I think, a point will be a great result for Newcastle, and I think they'll get it 1-1.
For you, Ben?
I've gone for Newcastle winning this one, just purely because of Bournemouth conceding 4 in the previous match, and I don't think that defense is quite at it. Although, like we mentioned, Benitez will defend. I think they might be able to pick holes on the counter, move Atsu, and plays like that. That I think they might just edge this one, 2-1 Newcastle.
I've gone with a 2-2 draw. Similar reasons to Tom. Can't really split these two sides, but I do fancy both teams getting on the score sheet, but eventually a draw. Brighton against Swansea, another big game for Swansea, Tom. But obviously they're in good form at the moment. Do you back them here?
Again, this is one where I think they'll both take a point. Could be low scoring. I'm kind of torn between the 0-0 and the 1-1. But Swansea, they have been getting on the score sheet recently. So have Brighton, in all fairness. So, yeah, I will go for 1-1 again in this one. Brighton are good at home, rarely lose, so I don't think they'll lose. But then again, Swansea are in good form, and I don't think they'll lose. So, yeah, 1-1 again.
Have you, Ben?
I've gone for 1-0 win for Swansea. Keeping it tight at the minute, very, very strong defensively. Not too impressed with Brighton, so yeah, 1-0 away win.
I agree with you, Ben. I've gone with the Swansea 1-0 as well. Burnley against Southampton. Tom?
Well, I'm going to sound a bit like a broken record in this one. I might have to play the 1-1 there's a Trixie in these.
Yeah.
I think it could be another tight one. Southampton do score quite a lot away from home, actually. I'm always impressed whenever I watch them, but results-wise, they don't seem to pick up that many points. But, yeah, I think they'll get a point here. Burnley have kind of gone off the boil since the new year, and that's to be expected. They're pretty comfortable. They'll be happy with a point, I think. So, yeah, another 1-1.
And for you, Ben?
And I've gone for 1-0 Burnley. Never has there been over 2.5 goals in a Burnley game, but I don't really fancy Saints in this one, so yeah, 1-0 Burnley.
I've gone with a 1-1 draw here as well. Burnley at home seem to be more comfortable, and Southampton not picking up enough 3 points. So I've gone with a 1-1 there. Liverpool against West Ham, Tom?
Yeah, I can see another Liverpool romp here. I've gone for 4-0. West Ham don't fill me with any kind of confidence, even under David Moyes, especially away from home. I mean, they do have a counter-attacking threat, but I think this could be a game that's over by half-time, to be honest. So, yeah, I'll go for 4-0 to Liverpool.
And for you, Ben?
Yeah, I agree. Goals galore in this one. Two strong attacking sides. Just you can't back against Liverpool at a minute. So 3-1 Liverpool.
Yeah, Ben's finally starting to realise how good Liverpool are.
I think it's how bad West Ham are.
Well, sorry, Jordan, but yeah, I'm also going to go for a 3-1 Liverpool win. Never seen, even though we do defensively seem to be a little bit better, I still wouldn't back against West Ham nicking one. But yeah, 3-1 for me. West Brom against Huddersfield. Tom, another 1-0.
This is a huge game for Pardew, so I think they will win. I've gone for 2-1. When they need the wins, they tend to get them, West Brom. The same can kind of be said for Huddersfield, but Huddersfield away from home, they've been shocking, really. I mean, they won on the opening day, I can remember at Palace, and they won against 10 men at Watford. Both 3-1 or 4-1, battered them. So, but since then they've been very poor away from home. So, big game for West Brom. I think they will get all 3 points. Yes, but I think Sturridge will open his account as well. I think it's a big game for him.
For you, Ben?
I have gone for the 1-1. I think it will be a cagey affair. I think come the end of it, I think both teams will probably be a bit nervous to make mistakes and not want to lose ground on the other. So yeah, I've gone for 1-1 in this one.
Yep, I also have gone with a 1-1. It just looks like that kind of game on paper. Huddersfield away from home, not particularly good, but West Brom's form very poor indeed. So 1-1 for me. Tom, Watford Everton?
Well, yeah, I mentioned this earlier. I think it could be one of the worst games of the season if both coaches revert to their usual selves. So yeah, I've gone for 0-0 in this one.
And for you, Ben?
I've gone for a 2-1 away win. I think if Watford turn up and their attack is on fire, then they could score a few. I just think Allardyce will keep it tight, and I really don't trust that. I have much faith in that Watford defence, and I think Everton will pick them off. So yeah, 2-1 Everton.
I've gone for a 2-2, and actually I fancy goals. Watford at home, especially in front of the TV cameras. I think Watford actually do well when it comes to TV, so I've gone with 2-2 there. Palace against Spurs then, the first game on the Sunday. Tom?
I'm really looking forward to this one. It's always a good game at Selhurst Park when these meet. So I think it'll be goals in this one as well. I'm not sure if there's a hard start for Palace or not, but if he is, then that's going to be a massive boost. Just as a side point as well, both these teams, I like them respectively for corners. So I'm going to be having a little gander at the over 10 corner market in this when it comes live. But yeah, I'm going to go for 2-2 in this one.
For you, Ben?
I've gone for 3-1 comfortable Spurs win. I don't think Palace quite want to be under the cosh and deep in their own half with Spurs kind of splitting their defence. So yeah, 3-1 Spurs.
I've also gone with the Spurs win. Quite a close one though. I do Palace at home tends to be quite strong, but I've gone with Spurs just to make it 2-1. Okay, so United Chelsea. Tom, I'm pretty sure where you were going with this one.
Yeah, goalless for me. I think they'll both take it. I'm not even going to bother watching it, to be honest, unless it's like 2-2 at half time. Then I'll hold my hands up. But yeah, I'll go for 0-0 in this one.
For you, Ben?
I've gone for Chelsea to edge it, purely because I think if Giroud continues to link up with Hazard, and I think Fabregas might have some influence in that as well. But I've gone for 1-0 Chelsea.
Yeah, well, everyone now knows how we on the podcast feel about Jose Mourinho, which is great. I'm also going to go with a 0-0. It just seems to be Mourinho, United at home against one of his old clubs. There's no way he's going to risk the ridicule of losing. So I've gone with him to be uber defensive and a 0-0 in that one. Okay, then the final game of the weekend is the League Cup final. Arsenal against City. Tom?
Such a hard one to call this. I think it'll be a draw, but I think there'll be goals in it. So I'm going to go for 2-2 in this one. I think it could go all the way.
All the way to penalties?
Possibly, yeah. I don't really want to say. I think if it does go to extra time, then Man City, with that heavy pitch, and they played quite a strong team, as we said, at Wigan, they could be feeling it a bit. Whereas Arsenal, that they're going to make 11 changes. They've only got Ostersons and the 3-0 up already in that tie for Thursday. So they expect all their main players to be fit. So if it goes to extra time, I'd probably edge with Arsenal. But yeah, I do think it'll be a really good game. Both teams score 2-2.
For you, Ben?
I've gone for City 2-0. Like I say, if Ozil can find some space and he's at the top of his game, then he might pose a few problems. But otherwise, I think City might do as they normally do and dominate.
Yep, I've actually gone with an Arsenal 2-1 victory. I think their form at Wembley, especially in the last few years, I just will back them at 2-1 against City. Okay, so those are our predictions. We will now go on to something that we've not done too many times on the podcast before. This week we're going with an anytime goal scorer treble. So we've each picked out a player. Tom, who did you go with?
I've gone for Sadio Mane for Liverpool against West Ham. Obviously, got to check if he starts or not, but I would expect him to. He kind of, I wouldn't say he went off the boil, but he wasn't scoring as many as his counterparts in the last kind of 2 months or so. But he was phenomenal at Porto, and he's coming into some real form again. So, and he's the best price of that front three. He's 13-10 with Paddy Power. Whereas Mo Salah, I couldn't put anyone off him, but he's short at 4-6. So yeah, Mane for me, 13-10. In a weekend where I don't think there's going to be much goals in the Premier League, that's one where I probably would say there would be goals at Liverpool. So I'll go with Mane.
For you, Ben?
I've gone for Harry Kane for in the Tottenham v Palace game. If Spurs, well, going by the records, Harry Kane pretty much scores half of Spurs goals, and I've gone for a Spurs 3-1 victory. So I think it's likely he's going to get one of them. So I think it's a pretty safe bet.
Yep, I've gone with Jamie Vardy. I think he scored in all of his last 4 games, and at home against a Stoke defence that's not particularly good. I just would fancy him to score. All of those 3 put together then gives you 8-1 with Coral. So Jamie Vardy, Harry Kane, and Sadio Mane all to score in 90 minutes this weekend is at 8-1 with Coral. Okay, then we'll move on to the last part of the podcast where we each give our bet of the week. So Tom, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, I've gone. I've mentioned it already. A player that's, if he does start, I do like him for a booking in the Leicester Stoke game. Patrick Bauer, the fullback, the right back. He's already picked up a few cards and it looks a really good price at 3-1. And I'm expecting Demarai Gray to start on that left, and he'll cause all sorts of problems for him. So again, it's one of them you have to check if he will start, but it has been recently. So 3-1 with Unibet at the minute for him to be carded. Other bookmakers haven't priced up that market yet, so do keep an eye on it on Odds Checker. Get the best price available. But yeah, Patrick Bauer to be carded in the Leicester Stoke game.
And yours, Ben?
I mentioned it earlier, and it's purely because, well, I think because of the price. I think it's not been many goals in it, but I've gone for half-time, full-time, draw, and Chelsea. I think Chelsea might just nick it 1-0. And that's at 7-1.
My bet of the week is Arsenal to win and both teams to score in the League Cup final. I've gone with, and that's at 79-10. So just under 8-1 with 188 bet. Okay, that brings to close this week's podcast. We have got a Chelsea versus Barcelona game to watch, so we will all see you next week. But that's goodbye from me, and that's goodbye from Tom.
Cheers, guys. Good luck.
And that's goodbye from Ben.
Good luck, guys.
Cheers, guys. We'll see you next week.